My name is Leah Kennedy, and I play Amy March. I'm also the understudy for Beth March. It involves a lot of highlighting in my books, color coding everything, practicing swapping between the two characters and really getting a sense of the physicality of each one. It's difficult for sure, but I enjoy a challenge, so I'm really excited to be doing double duty. Yeah, Amy is the youngest of the March sisters, and she's a bit of a brat. She wants to get the things that she wants. She can be very annoying, very energetic, but I think she's also at her core a good person. She loves to draw. She's very artistic, and so she walks around with her portfolio book a lot. She's always drawing pictures for her family. I think that's her love language. It's how she says "I love you." It's how she says "I'm sorry." So I think that's a big part of who she is. But yeah, at the end of the day, she's just kind of a fun, annoying character. I love working with Janie Scott, so that was a big draw for me when I saw that this was going to be a show that she would direct. I had just done Gypsy with her at Palo Alto Players, and so I followed her over here and auditioned for Little Women. I love working with Janie. I also really enjoy shows that have at least one woman on the creative team. It's surprisingly rare, and so getting to be in a show with lyrics by a woman writer, that's very meaningful to me. The fact that the source material is written by a woman, that's something that I care deeply a lot. I also just really enjoy shows with small casts. It's just a lot more intimate, and you get to know people a lot more closely. So it's been a great time. Yeah, that sisterhood theme is pretty rare in shows and TV shows, musicals, what have you, in art generally these days. So it's really nice being in a show that is majority women-led. I'm having a lot of fun getting to know, the March sisters, also the folks who are our understudies. I really do feel like we're forming like a family between, all of us. I think there's, 6 of us who are playing all the sisters in total. And there's definitely this sense of sisterhood forming among us. Janie talked to us early on about these sisters, they're very comfortable with each other. They hug and they put hands on each other's shoulders and they hold hands, and you just, you need to get comfortable with that and, with just physical touch and those kinds of things. And, the first time you do that, it's a little awkward, we're all kind of strangers, but at this point we really have developed more comfortability with each other, and it really does feel like we've developed that sisterhood and that sense of family with one another, and so that's something I've really enjoyed about this production. Rehearsals have been going really well. I'm definitely having a great time. We did a couple weeks of just learning the vocals, and of course for me that means learning multiple vocal parts. And then we've been spending the last few weeks blocking out all the scenes, learning choreography, swapping in the understudies here and there, so changing hats really quickly on stage in my case. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. Amy's big number is The Most Amazing Thing. I don't want to spoil too much, but she's sharing some very exciting news about a big life development. It's actually a duet that she sings with someone. It's a very silly number, but I've come to really enjoy it the more that I work on it. And I loved the way Janie blocked the number. I was expecting it to involve a lot more dancing, but she's blocked it in ways that are just absolutely adorable. And I've heard several cast members say that they didn't really like that song until they saw it staged, and then they were like, oh, this is so cute. I love what Janie's done with it. And so I'm very excited to see it develop more. I heard Mary sing Days of Plenty for the first time a few days ago. Mary plays Marmee, who's the mother character, and singing this song that's about grief and hope about the future and not letting grief define your future, and it brought me to tears. That is a really beautiful song, and so right now I'd say that's probably my favorite song in the show, but it changes the more I hear other people's songs. There's a lot of pieces I still haven't actually gotten to hear yet, and so I'm sure my opinion will change as I get to know the show and our version of it more and more. Oh, this show is so different from the novel. I could talk about this question a long time. I'd say the biggest difference, at least for me, I was reading the novel as I was attending rehearsals, and so getting that side-by-side comparison. The characters are a lot more well-rounded in the novel. In this musical, Joe's the most well-rounded character. A lot of the others are pretty caricatured, which I think that's just what you have to do when it's in a musical, because you're taking a huge novel and you're boiling it down to a couple of hours. So that's just a necessity of the art form. And let's be honest, caricatures are a lot more funny to watch. But I will say that Amy gets a lot more color to her character. in the book. She really does grow and develop as a person. I'm trying not to spoil the plot of the show too much here, but I think you see a lot more growth and kind of softness and just care for others. In the book, she grows up thinking she wants to marry well, she wants to have nice things, she wants elegant things. And that's kind of her sole goal in the beginning. She ends up growing out of that and realizing that there's more to life than those things. She ends up marrying in a way that lets her have both. She does get wealth and she also gets to have love. And then she ends up finding ways to use her wealth to do good for other people who aren't that fortunate, and to help other people who had been in her similar circumstances growing up. And so she ends up really being a kind and caring person by the end of the book. We don't get to see that full development in this show, which I think makes for a more just kind of silly character, and I think it's a lot more entertaining to watch. But that is just something that necessarily gets sacrificed whenever you boil down a novel into a musical. Yeah. If you're hearing that knocking in the background, it's because we are assembling the set today. Yeah, I think this show is really heartwarming, and I think it's timeless in many ways. It touches on a lot of themes that are relevant today. You've got, a character who's very ambitious and wants to define her own future. It's also a story about love between sisters within a family. But it's just, there's all of these universal themes within it that I think are very timeless, even though the book is quite old, and there's a lot of it that's kind of, gone out of vogue. I think the musical it's still quite new, it's still quite relevant, and I think it's worth coming for that. The songs are delightful. I think it's going to be a really good time, and the nice thing about shows with such a small cast is it's a much more intimate experience, and we are so excited to share that experience with our audience. So get your tickets before they sell out and come see us. Yeah, come see Little Women January 24th to February the 14th at Saratoga Civic Theater. You can buy your tickets at southbaymt.com.